Hello, hello, everyone. Hi. We waited to 6:01 trying to give people a chance to enter. Um, hi, I'm Jacqueline Olive. I'm a certified financial counselor here at Embold Credit Union and a community relations specialist here. And I have on with me today Stephanie. I'll let you introduce yourself, Stephanie.
Hello, I am Stephanie Valajos, and I am the Membership Development Specialist for Embold Credit Union. And I'm very excited to be here to talk about the payoff debt strategies that we've got planned for you guys.
Yeah. And Stephanie is also one of our certified financial counselors as well. So we sit down with people one-on-one, help them create debt payoff strategies, budget strategies, saving strategies, all of the things. And so we're really happy to be here and sharing with you today. So I know this is a slightly different webinar format than we are used to with Zoom. We decided to do Teams, and it's working out so far. Hopefully nobody had a problem with downloading it, but everyone has access to the chat. So if you want to chat, um, you should be able to chat in there. If you have any issues with chatting in there, there is a Q&A that you can use to communicate to us as well. This is a fairly new platform for us, so let us know if you run into any issues with chat. But hopefully, because we ask a lot of questions, the chat will work. If not, open up the Q&A. We're happy to, um, you know, interact that way instead. And then there's also a raise the hand button. Right now you're off camera and muted, but we can unmute you on our end if you prefer to ask or answer a question live instead of in chat or Q&A. All right, did I cover everything?
Okay. I believe you did. I'm going to go ahead and
Great.
just pop it over to our pretty pictures. Yeah, because I
I
upgraded mine. So,
probably should have
but
started that.
that's okay. Actually, if I can share just a little message here real quick
Mhm.
with everybody here. So I really am genuinely grateful to have the opportunity to help educate and hopefully inspire others to work towards a debt-free goal. But before we talk strategies, I just really want to say something that I feel is really important. This is a judgment-free space. I mean, debt is a math problem, not a character flaw. So a lot of people might come carrying guilt or some embarrassment about debt, and some feel like they should have known better. Some feel behind, some feel like they failed. And if that's you, you're not alone and you are not broken. After all, many people were actually never taught how credit works. And as we all know, we're going to get more into that a little bit later, but life happens, medical bills, job loss. Credit systems are also designed to be easy to enter in and hard to exit. And then marketing, of course, encourages spending constantly. So the fact that you are here today means that you're ready to change something, and that's not weakness, that's courage. So I just wanted to share that. Next up, we are going to cover some of these topics tonight. Tonight's focus of being stop taking on new debt. And then we have goal setting, learn methods for paying off debt, the impact of extra payments, and then we're going to share some links to resources towards the end. And we're going to discuss how to create new spending patterns. And also, Jackie has her email on there as well. I think that was in the other slide, but if you want to pop that in the chat so they can follow up later if they need to, you want to do
Mhm.
that?
Mhm.
Okay, and really quick, I just felt it was really important to kind of cover some of these vocabulary, whether you've heard them or whether you've not. These are just the terms that we talk a lot about in our financial workshops. So I just want to make sure that everybody's kind of understanding what it really means. So our minimum payment being the amount that the member is required to pay each month. Then we have our APR, annual percentage rate, which is the percentage rate used to calculate the amount of interest charged on the balance. Of course, we have the interest, and that is the charge for the privilege of borrowing the money, typically expressed as a percentage. And then the principal is the actual initial amount that was either borrowed or Perhaps you, let's say, charge a credit card and you spent $20, the principal's considered the $20. Anything above that 20 would be interest or fees. Then finally, we have collateral, which is something that is pledged as security for repayment of a loan to be forfeited in the event of a default. Quick
Yeah,
example would be like a car.
and the only reason we give you a vocabulary lesson is in case we slip up and start using vocab terms
This
in
is
this
everyday
workshop.
language.
So that way, yeah, instead
Yeah.
of everyday language, we want to make sure that we're all understanding each other and communicating effectively.
Hey, Jackie, how about we get everybody accustomed to the chat and do a little icebreaker question?
It looks like it's working.
Great. All
Leanne
right.
gave us a hi.
Woo-hoo. All right. So, quick question for you guys. What does freedom from debt look like for you or maybe your family? Jackie, you want to kind of kick that off and give an example what you think that might look like? Or how do you think like your
Uh,
life, your personal, professional would improve?
um, yeah, it's funny. I knew you were going to ask this, but I didn't think about it for myself. Uh, for me personally, freedom from debt actually meant being able to have more, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own debt payoff journey that started with me not necessarily wanting to pay off debt. It was more I wanted to buy a house. And then I went, oh, wait, how do I buy a house when I'm already in so much debt and have nothing saved? So freedom from debt actually meant owning a home for me.
So what kind
It's,
of things do you think like it might help improve your life as well? Like for me, I know that I am less stressed when I don't
mm,
have a lot of debt hanging over me.
yeah. We have some really great answers coming in the chat, like security,
That's a great
uh,
one.
ability to retire, save, being able to afford food and house things. Yeah, that was what mine was. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and
So now,
then
go ahead.
somebody
Sorry.
also wrote in the Q&A an answer, I believe. Oh, no, I missed it. I think it was just in the chat. So,
Being
yeah.
able to afford food and house and things. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of, I think we're all feeling that little pinch right now. So again, you're not alone here. How
Yeah.
about this one's a little bit more of a challenging question for you guys, but how about we throw out that if you could give up something that, let's say, is a routine expense, and I'm not talking like our basic necessities like food, shelter, clothing, but if you could give up something that is a routine expense, what would that be? Like maybe a subscription, maybe it's extra clothes. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. What do you think you could give up, Jackie, if you wanted to
Oh, well, for me, it was eating out. And that's
eating
just like,
out?
yeah, it's not like I'm horrendous at it. I have a budget and I stick to a budget, but, uh, making food at home, it costs so much less. But I
Tobacco's
just
huge. I saw
enjoy
that in the chat.
restaurants. Oh, subscriptions. Huh.
Beers, beers, Nicole.
Yeah. I'm,
That's a
you
good
know,
one. Oh, Dutch Bros. Our coffees, my goodness, they're getting so
yeah.
expensive too. All right. Well, I kind of wanted to just kind of get everybody, um, kind of sharing some of those things that we don't necessarily need them, but we do want them. And we'll go into a little bit more on that later too. But thank you guys for sharing that. So, which kind of takes us into that what really makes us, with the debt situation is our emotions. It can make it really tough. Jackie, you want to expand a little more on that?
Oh, sure. Uh, you know, we have a picture of Spock here because we're thinking, all these debt payoff methods, it involves logic, right? And do we spend money logically, or do we spend money because it feels good, or it makes us happy, or it causes some sort of joy, right? So, uh, I think that's what we mean by emotions make it tough, because we don't necessarily spend money logically. We tend to spend money emotionally. And any sort of debt payoff plan or budget is going to be applying a logical system to the way we spend our money, to make it logical instead of emotional.
Yeah, I actually have a testimony I can share if that's all right with
Hmm.
all of you. Um, so first, I kind of want to give you guys like a visual, picturing multiple buckets on a table, and each one of those buckets will represent where your money is going, whether it's your utilities is one bucket, rent another bucket, food, right? You get the idea. So keep that in mind when I kind of share this little reflection piece, because it is really important, and we'll get to that. So, how does reflection like help financially? So, my testimony is I was experiencing that dopamine hit every time I bought something new that I liked or enjoyed and lifted my spirits a little bit, even if it was ever so briefly, because there was a period of time after my divorce that, not having my kids with me like a 24/7, that was a very stressful period of my life. And so I noticed that I was, spending a little bit more money than normally. So the self-reflection, the key point here is when I started to recognize and internalize, like, what is driving me to spend things that are really not necessities. We're not talking food or things like that. We're just talking little extras. And the point is, when I became aware of what was at the root of my spending, I modified my budget to add a what I call the blow fund. Blowing means you can spend it on whatever you want, and it doesn't matter because you already allocated those funds. So what happens out of that is I stayed in control. I still accomplished what I desired, which is something to lift my spirit, but I also maintained my budget. And that's because I allocated for that. So let's get back to those buckets that I was talking about on the table. So if I'm not in control of my blow money and I'm just buying things whenever I feel like it, what ends up happening is if I overspend that bucket in my blow bucket, I'm going to have to take from another bucket, right? To offset I spent too much on that. Does that make sense? And so when you buy something else, you also give up something else, right?
Hmm.
But the key takeaway here is, and what I hope, by the end of this presentation is that you guys understand that by controlling where your money goes, your money won't control you. All right, take it away, Jackie.
Yeah, life is expensive. So I encourage you all to type in the chat some of the things we've seen go up in price just in this past year. Um, so I know, well, we'll see what people say. But I know where it's hit me personally.
Well, how
Um,
about the idea, like when you just ask for like different kind of alternate milk, it's like 75 to 80 cent extra charge.
So Nicole, who just wrote food in the chat in caps, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, well, I know where it's hurt me. I'll see what other people say. Um, but
Gas,
food,
yeah.
yeah, gas. Food for me is the big one, especially because well, both food and gas are things that we need to survive, probably if we're using transportation to get to work, um, eat, right? And so we've lived through a time of really rampant inflation. Inflation is the fact that the cost of goods and services are always going up. Inflation usually hovers around 2 to 3% each year. And so that means your dollar can buy, the money you have just sitting there, can buy 2 to 3% less stuff every year. But in the past few years, even in 2022 mostly, the inflation rate was actually 8%, meaning it got real high and things went up really fast in price. That makes it a lot easier to use credit and then go into debt just to be able to afford the things that we used to make enough money for. And life happens. There will be an emergency. It's just a fact of life. Um, and that emergency is going to require money that we did not plan for. Uh, I don't know. For me, it was emergency root canal when I had quit a job and didn't have dental insurance. That was my big emergency that put me from like living paycheck to paycheck to, oh, now I'm in a ton of debt very quickly. I don't know if you had any moment like that,
I
Stephanie.
I had a little fender bender a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but a little fender bender cost me a totaled car
Yeah.
fender bender.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thank goodness I had my emergency fund set aside. So that actually really saved me. But the thing I want to share with you guys and really encourage you guys, because I had that in emergency money set aside, my stress, I mean, accidents in itself is stressful, but I wasn't panicky over what am I going to do to get a new car? How am I going to replace
Mhm.
that? My stress level was much lower than it normally would have been.
Yeah. Trying to save something for that emergency and plan for it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, have it, we call that an emergency fund. Having 1 to 3 months of living expenses put aside for when that emergency happens is really, really important. Um, so the first rule of getting out of debt is to stop taking on new debt. So having some sort of savings helps us
That's good.
accomplish this because we will use our savings to pay for that emergency instead of a credit card or home equity line and go into more debt. And so you might say, like, hey, I'm here to pay off debt. That's where all my money should be going. Well, I actually say try to do both. Pick a portion of your money to go toward paying off debt, but don't ignore saving because saving is going to help you with that number one rule of not always feeling behind when some emergency happens or the insurance bill hits, the twice a year insurance bill you forgot to save, or your dog has a vet visit, or whatever it is. Um, Actually, go back one slide,
Oops.
Stephanie.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm here to, that was my plug for savings. I'm here to talk about different types of debt. Um, the word debt really carries a negative connotation, and people sometimes differentiate good debt from bad debt. Um, right. I mean, my story about I paid off debt to be able to buy a house to then be in what, $300,000 worth of debt because I took out a loan to buy a house. So, right. And I'm not sad about that. I'm just, it's just a fact. I paid off between my husband and I $17,000 worth of debt. And now we own our home, but we're in a lot more debt because that home costs us a lot of money in a mortgage. And I don't feel bad about it, right? Because mortgages, I don't feel like are a bad debt. We worked really, really hard over 6 years to be able to save for a down payment, to pay off our debt, and now we own a home. So I think a mortgage can be positively leveraged to help our financial position. It's pretty impossible to purchase a home without obtaining financing in some way. And compared to other debt, mortgages tend to be a much lower interest rate. And interest paid is tax deductible. And as you make your mortgage payments over time, each time you make that payment, you own more of your home. That's called building equity. So eventually you will own your home outright. Compared to renting, I felt like I was paying someone else and never owning anything. And so, and my rents kept increasing every year. Where once you're locked into that mortgage, depending on the type of mortgage you have, as long as it's a fixed rate mortgage, you are locked in and and can predict exactly what your payments are going to be. They will not increase, except for little bits like taxes. Sometimes they get us there, right? Uh, Sorry, I just paid my taxes. I just filed my taxes last week. Like, oh, they got me. No. Anyway.
And so what
Um,
let's what it talk about the student loans, right? Like,
mhm.
what would be a good reason to get into debt with a student loan?
You want me to answer? You asking them?
Yeah, let's let them
Oh,
chime in here.
okay.
She's taught
I'm
this
like, I
class
know.
before. Yeah.
What do people think? What would be a benefit of a student loan? You could also say what would not be a benefit if you prefer, because you can look at it both ways.
Yeah,
Mm. Uh,
it's true.
better job. Yeah. Yeah. Someone wrote better job. Um, you know, a lot of the time we think of it as a return on investment when it comes to a student loan. They can be kind of a necessary evil this way these days. Two-thirds of students actually end up taking on loans. Um, and
Oh,
education
good
can be
one.
seen as an investment. Oh yeah, Patrick wrote, yeah, if you need a license to be in a certain career. Yeah, that is a good one. So yeah, better job, better pay, being in a career that you might enjoy or love or passionate about. So if you were thinking of education as an investment and taking on a student loan for that reason, think about your future earning potential. A good strategy is to keep your total student loans below what you expect your starting salary to be after you graduate. When it comes to car loans, which I realize I don't have on this list, be very cautious before you take out a car loan. Know that cars are depreciating assets and it can be really easy to be sold a car loan that is more than the car is worth. Sometimes manufacturers will offer really great financing deals to incentivize you to purchase their new cars, like those commercials where they offer 0% financing, nothing down. Um, many
Read the fine
manufacturers,
print.
yeah, thank you. Many manufacturers and dealerships advertise these no interest car loans, um, but they're usually offered through finance companies that the manufacturer actually owns. And it will be really difficult to qualify for what's advertised without like the top tier credit. And it's not always more affordable. They try to make up for lost income on the interest they'd make uh, by pushing you really hard to sell add-on products, extended warranties, gap insurance with your vehicle, and you might have to forego benefits like rebates that normally bring your purchase price down. So there's definitely things you really need to research with those. If something looks too good to be true, read the fine print, like Stephanie said. Um,
All
and
right.
then
Yeah, I know.
with credit cards
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
cash advances, they're always pretty much labeled bad debt. I do want to say something about medical debt and IRS debt, because, right, like we're talking about like good debt and bad debt, like we have choices. With medical debt and IRS debt, there isn't always a whole lot of choice involved in this. Like, this might be something that happens, not something that we chose. And the only thing that can be done is to save for those emergencies, try to have insurance coverage, try to accurately, calculate your withholding for taxes. Um, if you have medical or IRS debt, make a payment plan. I know that there has been some stuff in the news about medical debt. Uh, the government in 2025 tried to pass a law to remove medical debts from credit reports and ban financial institutions from taking medical debt into consideration when it came to credit scores and loans. But this summer it was challenged in court and it's on hold right now. So we're in a little bit of a limbo with whether or not the medical debt will be removed from our credit reports. But it'd be nice if it was.
All right. So time and dedication. One of the keywords I think is really important when it comes to creating that strategy and getting yourself out of debt is discipline. That's kind of one of those tough love languages, but that it is what it's going to take is you got to be disciplined. But some of the mentalities that people, think about is when it comes to being in debt is like, well, but I deserve it. Like I got a new job, so I deserve to have that brand new car that I'm going to be making large payments on, or keeping up with my neighbors, the Joneses, or sacrificing now. Sorry, I know that was carrying on a different point, but holding off now will equal the major reward later. And so let's talk about how we're going to plan our spending. So has anybody had a budget before, or is working on one now? Or, did you start one, maybe get off track a little bit, or you
Yeah,
got one and it's
anyone
going
keep a
great?
budget. Yeah.
Say
I
that
got
again.
one trying to. Me too. I'm trying to. No, I'm kidding. I've had a budget for 10 years and I always feel like I'm just trying to. It's just
Okay.
it's always trying to like this month wasn't quite right, but I tried.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I admit, like back when I had younger kids at home, I'm an empty nester now, so I'm in a little bit different position. But even when I had my kids at home, I was the strict person. I think everybody's kind of on the scale. I'm the one way at the very tippy top of budget, budget, budget. If you want that, that's fine to have it. We just got to save the money and pay cash for it. So I do live strictly by a budget. And that's why there's times I'm like, somebody goes, well, it's only $20. I go, yeah, it's $20. I didn't budget. So we're going to say no this time. Maybe next
Oh,
month. I'll fit it in my
oh,
budget.
yeah. I know people really think about like budgeting as a bad thing. Like it's the B word. People think about restricting themselves, sacrificing joy, counting pennies. But a budget is a lot more than that. It's really the basis for any sort of financial success. It's a tool for empowerment, freedom, control over your finances. And it really is regardless of how much money you make, it's going to be effective. Uh, we make spending decisions every single day. Every time we say yes to making one purchase, we say no to thousands of other things we could have bought with that money. So, in a sense, we all are budgeting. But if these spending decisions are not planned out ahead of time, it's really difficult for our money to be used for the things that are the most important to us. So, a budget isn't something that cramps our style, it's something that really allows us to focus on what we want. Budgeting will really help you pay off debt and stop accumulating more debt. When you have a plan in place for how you spend every single dollar, you're much less likely to rely on a loan or a credit card to make an unplanned expense. So, Stephanie,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember. I think I'm supposed to talk about this slide, but I don't know. You're the one with the family.
Okay, so one of the tricky things people have brought to the table is like when you do have family members or you're sharing accounts with other people,
Hmm.
what do you do when you come from two different perspectives? One's the spender, one's the saver, or, regardless, one is always going to be a little bit more than the other, right? So ideally, we do want to have the family on board, kids included. We should be teaching and educating those kids young and have them grow up understand like living by a budget, so it becomes second nature for them when they're out on their own. But if you're reaching that challenge when you have a significant other or other family members, the what you can start with is find a common ground, right? Like find things that you do both agree on and have that be a starting point. The second thing is by having the family involved, you could set like a vision, what does being debt free look like? And what's a goal we could do to once we reach being debt free? Let's say we'll plan a family vacation to Disneyland or trip to the beach, give everybody kind of starts giving ideas and they start getting a little bit on board. They feel like when people start feeling like they're contributing ideas, right? They're more apt to stick with it along with you. So while I do validate it can be challenging, but it can be done. So I did come from that household where we were very opposite in our spending habits. Um, and it did take the discipline part, but one of the things that I specifically did was kept some of my funds separate so that I could budget what I could control. Another thing that I did do was my partner and we sat down, and he eventually relinquished control. And so I was able to work us getting out of debt, which I'll talk more in a little bit, $30,000 in 18 months. But the key word there is it did take discipline, and it did help that he was on board. But I can tell you that we did work some budgets and things like that where he wasn't necessarily supporting my mission. So yeah, just some ideas there. But I want to
Yeah.
encourage you, it can be done. So let's
So
talk
I
about a
actually
SMART
looked
goal.
one thing. I actually looked up a stat that I thought was really interesting. There was a survey done by Bankrate, which is a really wonderful website, uh, that 40% of US adults who are married in a civil partnership or living together have hidden purchases from them, not disclosed all of their income, or had secret bank accounts and credit card debts. And so this means they have committed financial infidelity. And many people on the survey admitted to spending they knew would upset a partner. And 52% of US adults that were surveyed equated this fiscal infidelity with physical cheating. So that just goes to show how emotional finances can be, especially in a partnership or a family.
Yeah. And I do want to encourage again, I'm not invalidating that it is challenging, more so if you don't have the team on board. But it also is something you got to learn to control what you can control, because it shouldn't be the idea of, well, if they're not on board, then I just can't do it at all. So we're just gonna live not on a budget because my partner won't step up with me. So you got to do the little workaround there.
Yeah. So we like to just say a little bit about goal setting. So if people have some goals they want to share with each other in the chat, please type them in. Goal setting is really important because paying off debt is hard. Creating a budget is hard. This is all hard work, and we need some motivation. We need a reason to be doing this. So that's why I encourage you to start thinking of your goals. What's your reason? What are you going to achieve when you pay off this debt? For me, it was buying a home. What was it for you, Stephanie? What
Oh,
motivated you?
what motivated me? Oh, yes, just
Mhm.
to, well, personally, just to be living debt free. It just that
Okay.
stress itself, the health that comes along with it, right?
Yeah.
Is worry and stress deteriorates our health quicker than need
Hmm.
be. So just that alone, it's a
Yeah.
freedom feeling. So
Yeah. So yours was, yeah, freedom, the emotions behind it all was
mhm.
your goal.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
exactly.
Yeah. So this is just an acronym. SMART goals is a way to think through a goal to make it really achievable. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So I'm going to assume everyone here has the same goal as Stephanie. Well, my goal is to pay off debt. Um, so, I mean, that's the workshop, right? So
That's why we're here.
make some assumptions there. Uh, so how will we make that more specific? Well, we would actually look up a list of every single debt that we owe. If anyone is ostriching and maybe doesn't really know where to find their debts, look at your credit report. That is, do you want to type the annualcreditreport.com in the chat? Even though I'm sure that is a resource later in the workshop, Stephanie.
Mhm.
But yeah, check your credit report. That will have all of the information about probably most of your debts, unless they're through um, a company that doesn't report to the credit reports, but most will. So that will help you out a lot when it comes to making something really specific. And now, how do we make that measurable? We're going to look up the exact amounts that we owe. How do we make this goal of paying off debt attainable? Well, I actually like to think of the T and time-based when it comes to SMART goals as hand in hand with attainable. So let's say I add it up and I have $12,000 in debt to pay off and I decide that I want to pay it off in 1 year, well, that would mean I have to pay 1,000 a month toward that debt or a little more depending on the interest rate. Is that attainable for me? Having a budget really helps you because you're going to know if you have an extra $1,000 to put toward your debt.
Jackie,
That's why we talk about budgeting.
all right, I got a
Yeah.
question for you. So why is it so important that I set something that's attainable?
Yeah. So this is to make you achieve it. Like if you plan it out appropriately and you give yourself something that you know that you can achieve, you're not going to set yourself up for failure. You're actually going to pay this debt off, right? If you're saying like, hey, I'm going to pay $12,000 in debt, I need to pay $1,000 a month, and I need to make sure that I created the budget. I have that extra $1,000. We have this whole plan and we can track it. In 6 months, have I paid $6,000? In 8 months, have I paid $8,000? And then you know that you are guaranteed in 1 year to achieve that goal. So that's what attainable means to me. I don't know if you had something else in mind.
Oh no, but that
Okay.
was the point. Is like, don't
Yeah.
set yourself up for failure. If you don't
Okay.
have $1,000 extra to spend on that $1,000 you're budgeting for to get yourself out of debt, you're setting yourself up to not complete that. And then what happens typically is when people feel like, oh, I didn't reach my goal, what
Hmm.
do? I'll just stop.
Right. Right. And so like $1,000, I probably wouldn't, that would not be attainable for me. 500 would be better, So I know that, okay, it's going to take me 2 years to pay off this debt, not 1 year.
Yeah.
Right. That's what's attainable for me.
I
And
think the
so
key word would be
thinking
like,
through it.
let's be realistic. Let's be
Yeah.
realistic about what
Yeah.
we really have to work with.
Because so many people go like, I have this debt, I want to pay it off in 1 year. But they don't really think it through. What does that actually mean? How much money is that? Um, And then relevant just means, is this the right time to be doing this? Is this goal something I really want? And then the time base is like that year, 2 years, however long it's going to take you. Um, Now that we have goal setting and we've maybe listed out our debts, listed out our balances, we're going to need that information for our debt payoff methods too. So, Stephanie, if you want to start talking about debt snowball,
I love that
yeah,
snowball. Love
yeah,
it.
this is
Okay.
This is our like ace in the hole debt payoff method.
The meat of this
Hmm.
presentation. So first, I do want to read this. Debt Snowball is a team at Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University found that people with large credit card balances are more likely to pay down their entire debt if they focus first on paying off the cards with the smallest balances. And I'd love to have your guys' input. Why do you think that is? I'll just give them a
So
few
this is just
seconds
looking
here.
at the balances of different debts you have, the total amount you owe, not the minimum payments, not the, interest rate. Oh, I think somebody just nailed it.
Yep. Yes, it's attainable. That's perfect.
And
Motivation,
motivation.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yep. So while it would make, and we'll get to this in a second here, but yes, the whole purpose behind focusing on the smallest bit first is so we are motivated to keep going. We actually achieved a goal in a shorter amount of time. We're more inspired to just keep going. So yes, perfect. Now, let's get into how this debt snowball works. So, starting off, let's say we're going to talk about and keep it really simple here. Let's say you have 3 credit cards, right? So we're going to pick on the first one, and it says minimum payment is $25. Now, remember that minimum payment is what the bare minimum that you have to pay on that account. So let's say your bill is $200. And so you're paying 25 each month until that $200 is paid off. Then you're going to take that $25 you normally would be paying on that bill that has been paid off, and you're going to roll it into the second smallest bill. So let's say that minimum payment on the second one is $35. So combining the two, your new minimum payment for your second credit card is now $60 instead of $35. And then once you pay that second credit card off, we're going to take both those minimum payments you were paying already, and we're going to roll it into that third credit card payment. So if my third credit card is at $55, as you see on the slide here, combining all of that, my new minimum for that last credit card is $115. And then I just keep paying that $115 until that gets paid off. So, and so forth. I think you guys kind of get the concept. Please, if you have any questions, put it in the chat for us. Now, on the other side, when I said like what motivates us more, get it paid off sooner, is the idea though, which one actually saves us the most money in the grand picture is the interest rate method. And all that is you're still laying out your debt, right? All the statements out there and seeing which one has the highest interest rate. And I'm going to focus my energy on that bill first. And then once that is paid off, that payment, right, that minimum payment is going to be rolled over to my second largest interest rate. There's so much we can talk about here, so I want to be respectful of time. So let's get into, the idea of what interest and the impact it has on our debt.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So you'll realize that both of these methods, debt snowball or the interest rate method, both of them are going to involve paying extra. So whether it be I'm going to pay extra toward my smallest debt to knock it out, then roll it over so I'm paying extra on my next smallest debt, roll it over so I'm paying even more extra on my next smallest debt. It's about paying more than your minimum payment. Interest rate method, same thing. You're just, instead of looking at a balance, you're looking at whichever debt has the highest interest rate and putting any extra money you have toward that debt to pay it off first. Either way, you're paying extra.
Yeah. So I'm going to tie this into that question I asked in the very beginning of if you could give up something, right? Because the question is, where are we going to get that extra money if we're already barely making ends meet, right?
Yeah.
And so remember when I challenged you guys with like, what is something you could give up today, right? If it means working towards our financial freedom. Remember those coffees, subscriptions, okay? And it's not to say we don't have fun in life. It's not forever, right? So with that said, where are we going to get that extra money? And you're like, but my coffee is only $6. It's only $8. Jackie, what happens with extra impact of even the smallest of amount?
Yeah. So I have an example on the screen. I don't know if it's a little small for people. Hopefully you can see it. I think I can pull up a laser pointer. Actually, I can't on my end. Can you pull up a laser pointer on your end, Stephanie? Because I know you can.
I am budget oriented, but you're asking me to be IT oriented.
I
That's not fair.
know. Well, give
Let's
it a
see here.
try. It's on your notes page.
On my notes page.
But as Stephanie is looking for that, I'll just talk you through this. This is actually a
How about I
calculator.
arrow? Here we go.
Yeah, we can see that. That works. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
So I want to show you, this is an example of a loan calculator. So the loan amount that we have is $30,000. The loan term is 15 years. So that means we're going to pay back 30,000 in 15 years. And we have a 6% interest rate here. Our monthly payment is $253.16. The total principal we're going to pay back is 30,000. So that's the amount that we borrowed. We're going to have to pay that back no matter what. The amount of interest we pay on this loan is $15,568. So that means that the total cost of borrowing $30,000 is $45,568. So thinking through these things, right? That's kind of like, oh, you look at that and you're like, oh, I thought I spent 30,000. I really spent 45,000 to buy that. And you can tell
and look at the payoff date.
Oh, okay, I took this loan out in 2020.
Right. And 15 years later.
So 15 years later, 2035, we pay it back, right? That's our loan term. So what happens when we make extra payments? This is why paying more is so, so important each month. So let's say we just round $253 to $260. That's all we're doing. Right?
A
Six
cup of
dollars and
coffee.
84 cents more. That coffee,
Cup of coffee right there.
that one coffee a week, or one coffee a month even.
A
That's all
month.
that would be. God, coffee got expensive. Okay. All of a sudden, this brings us down, I don't know, 600, $700 on our total amount we have to pay for the loan. So paying $6 extra every month, we save $700 by the end of this loan. That's a good
And we
amount of money.
and we
And
also
we
pay the
pay the loan off
$9.
5 months earlier in March
Yeah.
instead of October.
Yeah.
So we're done with this loan 5 months earlier just by paying $6 extra each month. Now, let's say we do a little more. Let's say we round to 260 every month because that's an even number and it's easy for us. So we pay that extra $6.84. But we also take every year we get a bonus or we get a tax return in April, and we know we always get that. We put that $1,000 tax return we get every year and we just throw it toward this loan.
Now, mind you, there was one time a year, not 1,000 each month, right?
Nope,
A
just
one
one time
time.
a year. Each April, if you want to scroll to where it says April, we get our tax return, we throw it to this loan. While we're also still making our $6 extra payment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you go up to the total interest paid, we're at 9,500. That saves us $6,000 over the lifetime of the loan. That's
And
$6,000 we get to spend on a vacation or toward a goal we have or toward something that we want that's not just going to a lender.
we took 5 years off, Jackie. Did you see that? Pay the
Yeah,
loan off 5 years earlier.
we're done with this loan in 10 years instead of 15 years by making a slightly higher monthly payment and a one-time larger payment each year.
So what's our takeaway here, Jackie? Right?
When you make extra payments, they go toward the interest of the loan
Mm-hmm. But
and
even the smallest amount,
has a big
whatever,
impact
yes.
on how much money you get to keep. Yeah. Because, right, like you're going to have to pay back what you borrowed no matter what, that principal. But everything else is just that's the what's in it for the lender. That's the interest that the lender is making. And so every time you pay more than your minimum payment, that goes toward that interest, meaning you get to keep more money in your pocket and you pay your loan off a lot quicker. So that's the principle behind both of the debt payoff methods we talked about.
Yeah. Well, here's another method,
Sure.
debt consolidation.
Yeah, and this is something we offer as a credit union. Like I know recently we had a promotion where we are offering like, you know, credit card
Balance
transfer,
transfer.
balance transfer with like 0% for a year. Sometimes, maybe a few times a year we'll have a debt consolidation, you know, offer that's really, really good, that helps you save money on interest. Um, so debt consolidation can be a good thing when you go through a credit union that you trust, you read the fine print, and you have solved the number one rule. What was the number one rule when it comes to debt, Stephanie?
Oh, I know that number
Remember?
one rule. Don't keep taking on more debt.
Don't keep taking on more debt. Okay,
No more debt. No more debt.
so if you have solved all of those things, like it's a good loan, it's solid, there's no teaser rates or extra fees, the interest rate is going to stay low, um, you can take out a debt consolidation loan. But you must have figured out the problem of what put you in debt in the first place.
Which goes back to that
Because,
self-reflection.
yeah, because Stephanie, you should tell your story about your mom.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can talk about her. She rest in peace. She's no longer here, so I can share her story. But she did this very thing. She did a debt consolidation loan, paid off all these credit cards that she was drowning in debt, and literally had a foreclosure notice on her home. And when she took out the debt consolidation loan, She just turned right around and she charged all her credit cards all back up again. So now she's back in the same amount of debt plus the loan. You don't want to put yourself there. That's not the purpose of the debt consolidation. You want to use it as a strategic tool to, to pay off things quicker, but not add to it.
Right. So, use a debt consolidation loan to pay off your high interest credit cards. Absolutely. But then, hide the high interest credit cards or cut up the high interest credit cards or close the high interest credit cards. Although that could have an impact on your credit score. It probably would bring your score down because
Yeah.
that's how credit scores work. But,
Yeah.
don't just open up your credit cards and then be able to get in even more debt.
Yeah.
Um,
As a final option, but a last resort.
Oh, I do want to say one other thing because I've heard people talking about home equity loans to pay off debt. And I just want you to remember that if, we have the vocab at the beginning, collateral. Credit card debt has no collateral. There's very little someone can take from you if you cannot make your payments on time. If you use a home equity loan to pay off credit card debt, your home is now collateral, meaning it puts your home at risk. So if you end up not being able to afford or repay that home equity loan now, you're at risk of losing your house. So, and depending on the amount that you borrowed, the homeowner may not be able to sell the home at a price that will cover all the debts that are owed. And, you could end up just increasing the amount owed, losing your house. Um, So that's all. Just be really careful if you're going to use something as, that you could lose, like a house or a car, as collateral against a loan.
Okay. And again, as a last resort, we certainly don't encourage this, but again, if everything else and this is a last resort, we as an option. But just keep in mind that by filing bankruptcy, that negative marks will stay on your credit report for 7 to 10 years. Some debts do not go away. What are the debts that don't go away? They never go away. Jackie, what's one of them?
Oh, I'm like, are you asking me? Student loans. Student loans
Student
never go away.
loans.
Never go
Right.
away. Taxes, if you owe the IRS money, it'll never go away. And then
Child support.
alimony and child support
Yeah.
are the other ones as well. So even if you declare bankruptcy, those debts are still there,
Yep.
which, yeah. Um,
Okay. So again, we're kind of running on time here, Jackie. We got
okay.
6 minutes. So
I think we're doing well. We're really just at the last part of the last section of the workshop, where we're really just going to go through some resources and credit counseling resources and some of those things. So if you want to take a screenshot, not yet, but maybe on the next
on
couple
the next one.
slides,
Yeah.
we'll have some websites and some phone numbers as resources available to you. Uh, so I think the hardest thing to do is to communicate with a lender. If you find yourself in a pickle, um, the the thing you want to, the instinct is to ostrich, to stick your head in the sand, go, I can't make my payment. Let me just ignore all my phone calls. Um, but it's actually better to be communicative with your lenders, have a conversation with them, give them a call and let them know what's going on. Because most financial institutions are going to have programs that can lead you to other resources that will be of help. So things like I know that we can offer, we have something called skip payment. So if you have a loan in good standing, you can say, hey, I can't make my payment this month, and they'll let you skip the payment and add it to the end of the loan term without it affecting your credit score.
I can
Other,
add a little testimony really quick
yeah,
here, because when I had that $30,000 debt paid off in 18 months, and that's a lot of money in 18 months when you had limited income. But one of the ways I was able to do that was because one of my creditors froze the interest rate for me.
yeah, yeah. I had I mean, it took me a lot longer than 18 months to pay off my debt, but I did have a creditor lower my credit card interest rate from 18% to 3%. So I'd be able to pay it back. Mhm.
All right. So
So you
here's
can
the,
negotiate, yeah, so that's just a
oops.
tip. You can negotiate better rates. Um, you can change your due date for a bill if it doesn't work. You can have that skip a payment and you can actually change loan terms. Um, so it's, yeah, negotiating a better rate. Actually, 78% of people who made that request were given a lower rate. There was a study. Um, so I thought that was pretty cool. The worst you could get is a no,
Sorry.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, this is some information on credit counseling. So if uh, you do need someone to help you intercede with lenders for you, with your creditors for you, you can actually find some good credit counselors to help you with debt settlements. They can help you educate. They can help you create a budget. They have a lot of tools to help you eliminate debt. Credit counseling organizations can advise you on your money and debts. They can even call for you, call your creditors for you for negotiations. Uh, there are a lot of fake resources out there or things that programs that are going to charge you money, and we don't want that. So the best resource to locate a free, legitimate credit counseling service is to see if the agency is accredited by the National Foundation of Credit Counseling. And so we have that on the screen if you want to write it down or take a screenshot, or a picture or whatever. Um, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, you can check their website or you can check with the Oregon Attorney General as well to see if it's a legitimate business. If you belong to a credit union, who we refer to is a credit counselor called Balance Financial Empowering, and we have that website up here as well.
Yeah, a little hard to see. I'll put it in the chat for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to type that in.
Mhm.
And then we can go to the next screen as well. And this is just more resources. If you want to figure out how much interest you're paying on some of your loans just because you think math is fun, like me and Stephanie, the financial calculator I used to come up with that interest rate slide to show the impact of extra payments and how it would affect your loan is at bankrate.com. They have tons of different financial counselors. You can also go to justice.gov to look for credit counselors. If you want to opt out of free credit card offers, we have the phone number here as well. And then last but not least, if you feel like you need a support group because you need a little bit more help, we have debtorsanonymous.org as a support group that can help with debt and get you talking to other people that are in the same kind of situation as you and sharing stories.
And we do have certified financial coaches
Mhm.
at our credit union as well. And
Yeah, we're
that,
not credit counselors. We're probably not going to call your lenders and like negotiate debt settlements for you, but we'll definitely help you make a budget, set goals, come up with strategies for debt snowball, those sorts of things.
okay. All right, so time to wrap it up.
Mhm.
Our takeaways here, what are we going to do? We're going to create new spending patterns, right? Um, do that self-reflection piece, right? Get to the heart of how you got to where you are, in order to prevent getting yourself there back again, and make it clear that this is a family issue, but there's lots of other little tips online too on ways that you can get family involved or, encourage them to be a part of your journey to financial freedom. Um, and planning for some fun. That is the one thing just because we do the budgeting thing, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with having fun and enjoying life along the way, right? Life's too short. We all know that. But just budget for it. Just put it in your budget and then be disciplined stick with that budget. The inspiration board is something that can also help the family. I mean, you just kind of, maybe you're planning a cruise or something, you get a picture of the boat that everybody's looking forward to going, things like that, that can help people visualize and stay motivated. We do have a workshop coming up next month, hosted by yours truly. And that will be March 25th, 6 to 7, where we will go into more depths on the budgeting basics. That can help anybody who has not yet started a budget. And it can also help people that are struggling to maintain a current budget. Or maybe you actually have a budget, it's working great, but you know what? Just like the gym and you go and see a personal trainer, there's always new little things that can help reach your goal a little bit quicker by getting some support and information that way too. So I encourage all of that. And with that, we say thank you. And I'm going to put Jackie's email up for everybody here for any follow-up questions if they were not answered or.
Yeah. And I just want to say, the workshops, I mean, we're done with our content, but if anyone has questions, people are free to head out at 7 o'clock. But we'll hang out and we'll answer questions as long as you have them. We're happy to hang out and answer questions if you have anything.
And if you're still there, I'd love to hear like if anything did resonate with you
and Stephanie,
today.
You probably shouldn't give my email.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
I'm going on maternity leave next week. So I'm not going to be very responsive for
No,
people.
she's not. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you for the reminder, but you got me. You got me. Yeah. Okay. So they have to settle for me. Okay. They got to settle for me. Jackie's going to go and increase her family size.
Yeah. Spend more money. Go spend some money. Oh, that's cool, Patrick. We loved at Snowball. So I'm glad you got to, learn that strategy.
Again, I just say the key thing, guys, is just you might have a setback, but don't let that stop you and prevent you. Just keep moving forward. And as again, life happens. So
all right, well, I don't see any questions in the chat. But if you have some, or you want a copy of this workshop or anything, just send Stephanie an email. I'm more likely to get a response.
I'll respond a little quicker than Jackie might.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye, thanks for joining us. I can stop sharing, can I?